As a full sack sage and a full sack king, it is your duty to not have duties. Just ignore reality, man. Have fun and ignore reality. Screw all of these. Like, look, it is our responsibility as the people who are legitimately in a higher consciousness to be more compassionate. But it's not because of wanting to be more compassionate because we want to be more compassionate. It's because we simply are more compassionate. But we have to remember that even compassion can be part of the game in which we get sucked into how we perceive reality in a certain way. And we can get confined to ourselves, by ourselves, when we are addicted to empathy. It's like, I'm sure people have heard of suicidal empathy. That's exactly what a lot of that is when it comes to wanting to be a better person or just being the better version of yourself. Because here's the unfortunate truth that's actually not really that unfortunate. It's that many of us are not going to be the absolute best version of ourselves in this life. And whether you believe in reincarnation or not, that's something that you're going to have to just accept. And that can be very challenging to accept when maybe you feel as though you were robbed of your childhood youth or your childlike qualities or all of these other degrees in which you feel like you were just robbed, like your innocence was robbed, your way of viewing the world through a positive lens was robbed. It's like all of these things, we may feel a certain way about it, but that doesn't really mean that it's true, and it's something to get hung up about. In fact, the more we get hung up about these things, it's more likely the case that we're going to put ourselves in a precarious position in which we will consistently juxtapose ourselves for seemingly no reason. And so this is why when I say ignore reality and ignore negative thoughts, I don't necessarily mean to ignore the practicalities of life. However, I would encourage, not advise, because I don't advise anymore, even though I do have my Godlike Mastery offer. And of course, part of Godlike Mastery is recognizing that you need a system to get out of systems sometimes. And a lot of people that I've seen, they're so caught up in trying to get out of the system that they put themselves in a system, or they're so much more preparing for war, or they're preparing for the worst. And it's like, why not prepare for the best? Why would you put yourself in a position where you're forced to think about, like you're forcing yourself to think about the worst? And look, I'm not saying that there's no practicality in preparing for the worst, but change the narrative structure that you're going into it with. Like, for example, Bitcoin right now is down, silver is down, gold is down. Like, all of these really heavy hitter, like really the stock market as a whole is down this whole week. And this is the time, like for me, this is the time to invest because everything's in red. It's time to, take advantage of that and simply be there, because I am convicted, not in the sense that I'm convicted as in like something else outside of me has taken a hold of me. Not that there's really anything outside of me anyway, it's all one. But it's more like I'm just simply recognizing that, oh, this is a great opportunity because I'm doing okay. Like I'm not in a situation or a position that is going to compromise my own integrity. So yeah, I'm gonna invest a little bit more. Like I have like a system in which I invest, and I'm definitely not giving financial advice here. I'm just using this as a example to where, yeah, of course there's going to be practical things to, set yourself up financially. But if you just tune into the frequency of abundance and have fun doing so, then you're going to just simply be abundance. I mean, abundance is something that you be rather than something that you have. And this is something I talked a little bit more about on my Regal Shaman channel recently. But one thing that I think that is, I don't even like use the word think anymore. I wonder what word we could use other than think, because I don't really think. And I know that sounds to a lot of people, it's like, well, no. But it's more like my consciousness has dissolved thought belief systems to the point in which I no longer see my thoughts that occur in my consciousness as, me being the quote-unquote author. I am the co-creator of it. That's the way that I see it. I see myself as I see the thought forms that I have, or the images. Like, some people think in thoughts, or excuse me, well, yeah, obviously. Some people think in words, and some people think in images. And in that instance, I was thinking in an image, like what would the image of a thought be? Because I think a lot in images. I can absolutely think in words really well. And that's one of the reasons why I do so well with my writing, because obviously I've written a book, like I'm an author. And even when I say that, I'm not attached to the title of being the author. It's just that's part of the work that I've done. So I have done these things, and I'm also a speaker, but I'm thinking as I speak to you and with you. I'm not really thinking about everything that I need to say all the time. So when I say ignore reality and ignore negative thoughts, because that's exactly what they are. Negative thoughts are simply electromagnetic compressions of lower consciousness forms. And so as a full Sakian man, somebody said recently, I wanted to address this because this is just so funny. Somebody said, I'm from full Sakistan or something. That was just, or I'm from full Sakian, whatever it is. That was just so funny. And I like that that's been the response that people have been having with this, is because, yeah, we're talking about serious things, but we're not taking it seriously, because this is a deep thing and it's no joke. And yet at the same time, it's the biggest joke ever. And that is something that I'm learning myself how to just dissolve more into. Like, this is my work for my spiritual work. Part of the reason that I do these videos is not necessarily for you, even though, obviously it's going to be insightful for many people. But it's more for me too, because this is part of my dharma, let's say. This is part of my spiritual practice. This is how I'm devoting myself. This is how you could say I'm putting on the mind of Christ. Because I think about Christ and Jesus as not necessarily different, but not necessarily the same either. And I'm not religious. Like, this channel is not for religious spirits, and it's not for people that are thinking in, oh, well, there's only good or there's only evil, or there's only this or there's only that. Now, those are the basic forms of this existence, yes, because obviously if something's going to be in a form, there's going to have to be some type of polarity, whereas when it's not in form, it's just pure liquidity, and so it's pure liquid. But the thing is that when you let go of all of these preconceptions about how life ought to be, or how life should be, or how you think that it's supposed to be or is, and you get to a point in which you really just, you're living life with open hands like this. You're very receptive, but you're not trying to grasp either. And you're not trying to push away anything else either. You're just simply letting things happen as they happen. And this is really the full I was going to say the full Sakian philosophy. Uh, it just makes me laugh sometimes saying it out loud because, like, there are moments when I'm super sincere when I'm talking about the full sack and the full sack philosophy, and then I'll remember how much of a joke it is because it's just so funny. And then I'll just think about it, but not really think about it, just experience it, right? Maybe that's what it is. Maybe I'm experiencing a thought form rather than thinking of it. Because thinking, well, that's something more to ponder or to think about, I suppose. But yeah, I mean, life is such a beautiful thing, and we waste a lot of it worrying about all these negative things that, and when I even say negative, I don't mean like, again, there's the positive and the negative. It's just lower vibration, you could say, or lower form of consciousness. It's all that it is. And it's not something to get hung up about. It's not something to attach yourself to with the labels and such. And, you know, this is something where socializing is really going to be a key indicator to your moving forward. Like, I can say without a shadow of a doubt that the Regal Academy, for example, has not just been so great for so many members on the group calls and such over the last couple years, but it's been so freaking great for me too. I mean, it's allowed me to experience in real time and in true time, because those Regal Change old timers understand the difference between real time and true time in the Regal timeline theory, that what we experience in the community is really what we're gonna, like, we're creating like this ecosystem of consciousness that we're all experiencing what I call pattern convergence signals, or what other people call synchronicities. I'm experiencing, and they're all experiencing, these pattern convergence signals at such a drastic rate that we really don't even like invest attention into them anymore, simply because they're so propagated into our consciousness that, like, we know that we're all on the path to creative modes of being into timelessness, simply because we ourselves have let go of who we think that we're supposed to be, and we're also letting go in the process of who we're supposed to be and just living as we truly are. And the Regal Academy went through a phase in like February, March this year, where after I really let go of the Christian narrative and I embedded myself into timelessness, in which I dissolved, would probably be more appropriate. There were some members that really were, how do I say this? There were some members that were really not about it. It was not their forte, it was not their cup of tea. And then others, it was like we all got closer and we all got more grounded. And this type of social awareness really is so nice. Like, one of the best things about being around people who are aiming to live in the truth and let die what is false is they're not going to give you any BS. They're going to tell it straight how it is. And yeah, it can kind of hurt your ego at times, but it's all done in love and truth, and that really never hurts in the long run. The only reason that the truth hurts is because our ego is involved. But when the ego is let go, the truth and the love that we feel from the truth, because love and truth are the same thing, is just so profound that the ego just, we integrate a more healthy ego. I am not a proponent or a propagator of dissolving like an ego entirely. I don't think that that's healthy for an individual, simply because we're still in a human form. Okay, now it is entirely possible that you can let go of the ego altogether. I don't doubt that, and I don't think that that's a bad thing, but I think you have to be integrated enough to let go. It's kind of like, I've been doing a lot of studies on this Yogananda. If you've never heard of Yogananda, a fascinating yogi, his book, Autobiography of a Yogi, is very interesting. I've never read it before. I've heard a lot about him, and I'm reading it for the first time now. And I'm not really much of a reader anymore because I'm more of a creator in this aspect, but I'm reading it because I'm so fascinated with his story. And I'm being called to him. Like I saw him in a vision recently. And so that's one of the reasons why I'm being called to look more into him, and his life. But it's so interesting because, I mean, that allegedly he died, right? He died, and he willingly died. Like, he willingly died in his body, and his body was in like perfect form for like 20 days after. I don't know if that's true. However, I am under no constraints in my consciousness anymore as to what's possible for a human being, because I don't doubt that for a second. I've seen too many things in my own life. I've experienced things in my own life. Now, I'm not saying that like, ooh, I can levitate at will or anything like that, but I've had very supernatural experiences, like with telekinesis or telepathy and such, where, yeah, it's undeniable that that's actually happening. It's not just in my head. But the thing is that it is all in your head. It's just like, here's the thing that you can try. A lot of us think that we are behind our eyelids, right? Or we're behind our eyes when we close our eyes. But instead, see if you can pinpoint, like, let's say your foot, as your main focus of consciousness for your body. After a while, just even a minute or so, you might experience this feeling of being behind your foot rather than behind your eyes. Now, this goes to show that your consciousness is only where it thinks that it is. So you might as well ignore reality, have fun, and assume you're living a life of miracles. Like, that's really what this comes down to. And guess what? It'll happen. So, because you trust it, your certainty will collapse the timeline that you're on if it's not going into timelessness, and it'll reshape your psyche and your environment, and then you'll be propelled into a new timeline that moves into timelessness. So, that kind of stuff we go through with the Godlike Mastery, but apart from that, be blessed. Apply to the Godlike Mastery offer if this is resonating with you, and you have the finances and the ability to invest the time necessary to be involved in that kind of a thing. Or if you're more looking for the Regal Academy and you want to be, around those types of people that are not going to give you the BS. They're going to give it to you straight, but give it to you straight with love and no judgment. I mean, that's really what I encourage in the Regal Academy, is like, you can do what you want in the Academy and you can talk about whatever you want to talk about. But as soon as you try to force people to believe certain things, like that's what happened in February, because they were trying to force people, a couple of the members, which are no longer there, obviously, they were trying to force people to believe certain things. And that is not okay with me. I don't want to force anybody to believe anything. And I don't want to force anybody to think a certain way. Let go. Just let go. That's really what it comes down to. So I'm positive that this message was received, and is received rather, because it all is. It's an isness. It's not a wasness. It's an isness. I'm positive this message was received by those with eyes to see and ears to hear. And be blessed. Peace be with you. Until next time.